So I thought I would do another Craft with Judy session, and this is using some textured envelopes or textured note cards and envelopes that I got at my yard sailing while I was camping haul. So if you haven't seen that, you can catch it in the hauls playlist. So these are lovely little note cards that have a textured front, and I thought I would make little notebooks out of them, use them as the covers. So I've got this scrap. It's not really scrap, it's just something I tore out of a book, and it's just the right size, folded in half to make a signature for in these. It'll just be that the notebook will be this way because the writing will be sideways, so a little bit different. But I thought I would start by trimming off these rough edges on the note paper. So I think I'm going to try to do them all the same, about 4 3/4, and I'm having a hard time seeing that. So I'm just going to grab my pencil and make a line there. That's where I want to go to. And then I'll trim these all to that, a few at a time. I'm going to overwork my paper cutter too much. Because this doesn't have a square edge up at the top, it's hard to line it up top, so that's why I drew the little line. Get that squared up at the top and shoved over right to the line. And then I'll just run this back and forth a few times. And get a good press down. Seems to be working well. And then I think those pages are from a different book. So I'll set those aside for a different project. Bit rougher that time. Not quite as perfect. It's okay. I'll try just a few less pages. I don't think it's the amount of pages, though. I think it's something that catches on the blade when it first starts, and then it doesn't go smooth. So this is what I do with all those little notebooks that I buy at the thrift stores, is I'll use them to make other little notebooks that I can then decorate up according to who they're for. I'm wanting to do some for men, so these colors are a little more muted, not so flowery and pretty. And I think this scrap is just going to be just that, just scrap. I'm going to put it in my bucket for making paper. I'll just cut it into smaller pieces and throw it in the paper making bucket. And I'm just going to grab my bookbinding box. I showed you this in a previous video where I keep all of my items for bookbinding. But before I get to that stage, I've got to fold these signatures. So let's see how many pages we're going to have per signature. I think these will just be single signature notebooks. That one's a bit of a rough edge. Let's do 10 pages. 10. I'll fold those in half. And they're not exactly the same. I'm going to make sure that the pages that I'm using are all the same height, the same width, I guess you'd say. That's better. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I think most of the pros will tell you to fold each page individually, but you can see that I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna make these up kind of quick. I will make myself a little template for the binding process. Just creasing that so I have a line to follow when I cut it. That's way wider than it needs to be. But we're going to fold it in half lengthways and then fold it in half the other way. And then I just come down about a ½ inch on a journal this size. On a bigger one, I might come down closer to an inch. And then I'm going to mark my intersections so that I can see them. And that's my template for binding my book with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And because these are small and I can probably keep them from moving around too much, I'm going to go ahead and center that up top to bottom, roughly, and clamp them. I think these will work well, and just reach, and making sure that it's firmly down in the fold. And then in my book binding box, I've got a needle out. Just figure out what kind of cord I want to use. This one is a beige color. I think that color cord will work. It's just, oh, this is a leather. I don't want to use leather on these because these are going to be really inexpensive. I'll use this dark brown or black with that. And then on some of the others, I might want to use that more creamy color. Sorry about that loud noise. So I generally say 4 times the length of the book. And that'll leave me a little extra if I want to put some dangles hanging down instead of just cutting the binding off. And I think I will use my needle threader. Both to make it easier for me and so that you can see how they work if you don't know. You put the needle threader through the eye of the needle, which I cannot see. There we go. And then you put the cord through the needle threader, which is a bigger opening than the eye of the needle because it'll open out. And then you pull the needle threader back through, holding on to both ends of the cord so it doesn't go with it. And that will pull it through the eye of the needle. And then you don't have to try to get that thing because it fits, but it just fits. So that makes it a little easier. And then down in the bottom of my book binding kit, I have this pad that I use to poke my holes on so that I don't keep poking into my table all the time. And so I go in through everything. And then I just have to let the template out. I can leave the rest clipped. And I should be able to use this template for all of these. And then the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, you go in through the center hole to the outside, from inside to outside. You can hold on to or clamp the end of that string so that it doesn't pull through on you. And then you go from the outside in. It doesn't matter which side you go to first. And pull that tight. And then go all the way to the other end. Go out again. And then go back in the center. And just come up on the opposite side of the string. So when you tie your knot, you're tying it around the string, the center string. And I'll do 2 knots. You can add a dab of glue if you want. This stuff is not likely to let go. That's not enough to bind another book. Well, it might be, but I'm just going to leave it with the book, and then I'll probably add some dangles of some sort to that. But that's basically your little notebook made in just a few minutes. And I'm going to take my distress ink. Walnut stain looks like it might work pretty good, just to ink up those spots where I punched through. It's kind of showing on the paper. So just to darken that. So that doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, as they say. And so there's book number 1. That's got a nice little Moroccan tile design on it. And then you could round the corners, the other corners here. So that's got the biggest round over, I believe. So you could do that again. I don't think it'll do all of them at once. But if that bothered you, that one side was rounded and one wasn't, then you can just round the other corner. It may not be identical, but actually I think this one would be. Yeah, that looks closer to the same. And that just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. And of course you can round the pages of round the corners of your cover too. That prevents them from getting damaged. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the smaller one for that. 7 millimeters. Nope, didn't like doing that. There we go. And that just gives it a finished look too, because those just single thickness cardstock edges or corners will get damaged pretty quickly. So that just prevents that from happening and gives it a finished look. So that's cute. And then we'll do another one. We'll do the green one. So let's find a stack of paper that's all the same height. Got a couple pages here that were just a bit taller. Pretty much all the same. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just tidy that up as best you can on the edges and press. You can see that I'm going straight with the line. And I'm going to go ahead and round these corners while it's out. Out. So my American friends will love to hear me say out. There's a mouse in the house. Get it out. That's for you, Brad. And when you put it in upside down like this, you can see that it's right down where it's supposed to be. Whereas when you do it blind from the other side, and sometimes it doesn't work and you're not sure why. And that's usually the reason why, is because you didn't have it down far enough or sitting right on the corner like it's supposed to be. There's that. Center it up. Go this way so that that wider band is at the top when you open it, because that's the textured side. This side is not textured, so that would be the front cover to me. I'm just going to center that just by eye, and then take my template, which is still the same width as my paper. It's actually slightly smaller, but if I just center it up, it still works. Clip. Let's push that down in before I clip this side. Clip, clip, poke, poke. And then again, just take these off. And this one, because it's the green, I think I'm going to use actually the dark brown would look good on the green, wouldn't it? And then I can also ink these edges. I'll wait and see what's showing. Okay, so that's the one from the other journal. And here's I'm really good at getting these all tangled up. Here's the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people just do 3, but I like to have a little extra for the charms if I want to do them. I do have a ton of charms that I want to use up, so I can make it almost like a bookmark built into the book. From the inside center, I'm just going to stick that in the clamp. Sometimes I hold it with my thumb. And then in from the outside, all the way to the other end. It's getting tied up in my clamps. They can come off now. I did it. I did it. Wonder if that'll go back through for me. It did. I got lucky. I'm just going to come in and up on the other side of the thread. Okay. Pull it nice and snug. You don't want to pull too tight because this is just paper. There's no reinforcement on those holes. So I wouldn't call these junk journals, I would call them notebooks. Because there's not a lot going on the inside, it's just note paper. But I just think it's cool to have one handmade. And it's really cool to be able to recycle some of these things that otherwise might have been tossed in the garbage, like the notebook that wasn't being used, the paper note cards and envelopes that weren't going to be used. So someone sold them at their yard sale, I snatch them up and make them into something that will get used. And I might just, because this one has a fair bit of that antiquing, I might just go around the edge. Sometimes that puts just a little bit more ink on than you want. Just smooth it out a little bit. Of course, you can ink all the pages. You can stamp on the pages. You can glue things on. You can add pockets, tucks, all the things we do in junk journals, and it becomes more and more like a junk journal the more of that you do, of course. But these I'm just making as little gifts. I'll give this instead of a birthday card to someone or whatever. And yeah, it's just a nice little notebook. So what are we for time here? 21 minutes. I think that's a nice length for a video. So I'll leave you with that idea. And so we've got 2 little notebooks made in 20 minutes with some scraps that were going to be tossed. And I'll go back later, and depending on who they're for, this might get leaves or trees. This one might get, it's kind of purpley, so it might get some more gemstones or something added to it, some amethyst or something, as far as something to dangle on this string. And then what you can do is use that string, like I said, as a bit of a bookmark to mark your page and close the book. So I hope you enjoyed this little quick craft and see how I use up some of these yard sale finds that I get. And I hope you'll join me next time. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.